Coming up next on Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly, a moose from Los Angeles, a mystery guest, highlights, opinions, and previews from star pinch hit panelist Conner Mooneyham of Austin, Bryan Ray, and Matt McCarthy. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to this week's MLR Weekly, a new name that we're testing out, presented by Rugby Wrap-Up. I'm Matt McCarthy in New York City, and I've got my good friend Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News waiting in the wings with our special guest panelist today, Mr. Conner Mooneyham of the Austin Gilgronis. Imagine that, a star on the panel again. But before we get to them, let's look briefly back. The Seattle Seawolves swam down to Austin, Texas to face their Western Conference rivals in a pivotal matchup. And it was Austin, the Gilgronis, at home, who held on in a physical, tough match, 17-6 over Seattle. But Seattle showed that they can compete with the big boys as the second half of the season heats up. Rugby ATL versus the Los Angeles Gilitinis at the Snake Pit in Atlanta. Both teams in second place in their respective divisions. This was going to be a game for the ages. But nobody told that to the Gilitinis, who, despite two early scratches in the warm-up, which had number 19 and number 21 in the starting lineup, they rocked and rolled all over Atlanta in the first half and cruised to a huge win despite letting up some late tries down in Atlanta. LA resoundingly wins and beats another Eastern Conference power 31-19. The New England Free Jacks welcomed in the Utah Warriors into Quincy, Massachusetts, and boy, did it not go well for the Utah Warriors. The Free Jacks, the Flapjacks, the Tea-Sippers, whatever you want to call them, just make sure you call them good, because they are very good, and they played a resounding team game to win this one easily, 33-17. The road has been rough to the Dallas Jackals, but this time they were at home at Choctaw Stadium, and they welcomed in the San Diego Legion. And it was the Legion all day. Final score, 53-14. Another tough match for the newbies in the league, the Dallas Jackals. Rugby New York welcomed in the NOLA Gold, another Eastern Conference foe, and this year things haven't gone as they wanted for NOLA. But after announcing a 2-year extension on head coach Kane Thompson's contract, the NOLA Gold went out and laid an egg in the first half. But they didn't get discouraged, and they came roaring back in the second half. Tries and tackles and knock-ons, and it was just an unbelievable finish. Another tight one for New York at home against New Orleans, but New York wins by 8 points, 36-28. Okay, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Selling or trading in your vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. With Easy Trade, start online or visit us in store. We want your vehicle, and we'll give you up to 125% of KBB value.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
So we're back, as I promised, folks, and we have our mystery guest segment. But first, I've got to introduce Mr. Conner Mooneyham, the first ever draft pick, number 1 draft pick in Major League Rugby history, now starring for the Austin Gilgronis. And Conner, you have actually been the mystery guest on this program before.
I have. It's kind of nerve-wracking. You get a little excited, like hiding behind a black screen. But I'm excited to see who it is.
And Bryan, you're an old pro at this, and I think you were actually guessing who Conner was when we had him on.
I believe you are correct, and I think this is the first time we've had a mystery guest become one of the mystery guessers.
Yeah, it's just it's like generations of rugby playing against, forming in America. We have generations of mystery guests now. All right, so we're going to bring in our mystery guest. Has been patiently listening. He's in right now, and here are the 3 hints. He is not a back. I like his hairstyle a lot, and he could very well be related in some way to you, Conner. Just saying. Now let's get our lightning round started.
What?
Bryan, start us off.
Did you play over the weekend?
I did.
That is a great voice, mystery guest.
Do you live up in the north?
No,
Are you on an Eastern Conference team?
I'm not.
Man, related to me, that's crazy. I'm trying to
In a
think.
weird way, in a weird rugby, Major League Rugby way.
Were you drafted this past year?
No,
Did you play on Saturday?
I did.
Are you from Australia?
I am.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's it, Bryan. You got to be able to guess now.
Were you playing for the Utah Warriors?
Oh.
No.
Okay, were you playing for the Gilitinis over the weekend?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you captained more than one Major League Rugby team?
No.
Hang on, I got it.
Okay.
Do you have hair?
I do not.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
All right, that was a question. You can't guess now. Bryan, go ahead. Take it away.
Nathan, is your nickname Moose?
Ding, ding, ding. Let's bring him in, ladies and gentlemen. Nathan Den Hoedt.
How you going?
How you doing, brother?
Good, mate. How are you?
He is none other than the star of the LA Gilitinis, who had an unbelievable game this weekend. I had a front seat because I was calling the game, and you weren't supposed to start. Were you just messing with us in the booth, me and Stabina, because you put the 19 on? But I know you weren't initially in the starting lineup. You probably thought you were getting a breather.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. I think Corey Thomas was supposed to start, so he got a little niggle in the warm up. So it was a late swap.
And you did the same with Luke Burton.
Yeah, there was something that went on with him as well. He came in late, or was on the bench. Sorry. So I'm not actually sure what went on there, but Corey Thomas picked up the niggle in the warm up.
Then you've got the idiot Yank calling the game, and I'm like, it's because I know you, because we stick together. We got the same look, bro. So I'm like,
well, that's what I told Corey. I said if he doesn't wear the headgear, no one's going to know any different anyway.
Exactly.
So.
Oh yeah. Try to call in real time. You, Luke, Billy. All if you go, because you're always all four of you all over the ball. So it's like okay, and it's like the jerseys, the numbers are a little bit difficult to read at certain times. But anyway, we don't have time for this. Guys, let's open up to the panel for some questions. And Conner, because you're relatively new at this, you have a question for your rival, and that was the relationship thing. He's almost related to you because the Gilgronis and Gil twins.
Yeah. I was gonna ask that actually. I'm honestly excited to go down to the Coliseum because I didn't get the chance last year to play in the Coliseum for my head knock. So I heard the atmosphere is pretty electric down there. How is it from a player's standpoint?
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable to play there, honestly. The atmosphere is awesome. Crowd gets right into it. I mean, it's one of the best places I've played, if not the best stadium I've played in. It's really good.
That's pretty cool to hear in the United States. And it's, of course, the LA Coliseum. But you also, didn't you have a couple of runs at SoFi?
Yeah, we had that game there last year. That was an amazing experience. That was once in a lifetime. So that was really cool to do that. That was
Which one did you prefer?
I think I prefer the Coliseum. Probably it's the grass.
Yeah,
I prefer grass. Yeah. But SoFi itself is just unbelievable to actually get to play on that field and then have the Super Bowl there the same year. It was just amazing.
A little different than Cochran Stadium in Jersey City.
Just a little bit.
So is there, the moose, by the way, is quite the revered animal up here in the north. Is there any special background story to that, or is it just because you're a massive human being?
Yeah, I honestly get asked this a lot. I wish I had some cool story or something. It's honestly just a name I've had since maybe I was 15, and it's just purely the size of me. One of my rugby coaches way back then come up with it, and it's stuck. So I've just ran with it.
So you don't have any Canadian ancestry at all or anything like that?
Dutch. He's Dutch. They're the tallest people on the planet, and it's because they live under sea level. So they're always going like this. So they just naturally got taller. That's my theory.
I like that. I'll run with that.
What is the thing with the Gilitinis in terms of how they view Conner's Gilgronis? Do you view them as complete arch rivals, or do you simpatico, your brothers or something? Because you got the same Papa Gilchrist.
Yeah, I guess we do, but I guess it's honestly the rivalry match, I guess, is the way we look at it. It's a massive one in the calendar. Like, we look forward to obviously playing them twice this year. They beat us at their home earlier in the year, so getting to play them again is massive. Like, for us, it's a massive rivalry game. We always look at it on the calendar and look forward to playing against them.
We kind of do the same thing down here. It's like the same preparation. It's like, we're going to LA. This is it. Like, this is our rival team.
You smoked New York, and then you was just absolutely blew Atlanta out of their own park right out of the gate. I mean, the score wasn't indicative of how much the game was dominated by you guys, because you did get the red card and you got the yellow. Honko, how about doing the Josh Larson with the fall on the smack thing there, and then using the elbow? I mean, it's like Gordie Howe. That's like a Gordie Howe hat trick, Brian, for hockey fans.
Questionable behavior.
And this might impact Team USA, right? Because he's got a red card.
It's just a 3-week suspension, so he'll be back in time.
All right. There's America's Rugby News right on it. So, Conner, how relieved are you that Dallas didn't stay in the league the first year because you were drafted by them?
It's a little bit of a shame this year, just looking at what's going on with Dallas and how they haven't come out with any wins this season. And obviously I do think about that, like what it would have been like if I did go up to Dallas. And I do talk to a lot of players, actually some teammates that I have now that would have been on Dallas's team as well. I think that once they lost their head coach and a few things kind of changed there, a lot of players changed, a lot of things started shuffling around. So hopefully they can come out with a win and start changing some things for next season.
You know what? I kid around, but Nathan, you've seen this firsthand. A team can change pretty much overnight, as you saw the Gilgronis change. And that's what I say to Dallas fans. You know what? You're having a lousy season right now, but a lot of things didn't go your way, things that were unforeseen. But in the nature of this beast, and you play on a team with some quality players that are actually injured too, you know how this league can change around.
Yeah, no, we versed them over a month ago now, I think. But like when we played them then, I was talking to a few of the boys afterwards, and I was saying I honestly don't believe they're too far away from getting that win and getting the monkey off their back, so to speak.
What do you got as an update? And I know you can't be too official because it's not your role, but anybody coming back?
I'm not exactly sure which ones, but we have got a lot out, so it's hard to keep track. But there will be a few boys coming back in the coming weeks.
You've played Shoot Shield, you've played in the NRC, which kind of doesn't really exist anymore, but that's kind of one that was supposed to be the step between Shoot Shield and Super Rugby. So this is kind of a two-part question. I want to know, what do you think of the standard of MLR kind of compared to that? And, your old teammate from last year, Mai Vailanu, just started in Super Rugby, his first Super Rugby start this past weekend. So obviously players can move from MLR to Super Rugby. You're still a young guy. Is that still, is that a goal of yours?
The competition, MLR is very, very strong. Like in comparison to, let's say, NRC, I'd say it's a very similar level, if not above it. Like the teams are getting more and more competitive. I think even like from last year to this year, there's been a massive jump. Like you look at someone like Austin, where the improvement in their side, and then New England as well. There's just so many teams this year that are competitive, and I think like every game you go into, you've got to prepare as if it's a finals match, I guess. The competition level is very, very high. And then Mahe getting his first start, saw they beat the Crusaders, which is a massive win for them. And it's honestly something I when I first came over, that was the intention. I wanted to be playing rugby full time and get in a professional program, which I'm doing that. So the goal, I guess, eventually would be to get back to Super Rugby. When that may be, I don't know. But it's definitely something I'm looking at.
Well, if you continue to make plays like you made on the weekend, you set up a great score with the nice little pass and a little offload, but then you made a game, or perhaps a game-altering tackle in the try zone. You slap the ball in pursuit where I think it was Torres thought he was going in for an easy try. And we even called it as a try. And then we're seeing the replay and we're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, I came out of the scrum way too late. I hadn't noticed that he had actually left because I was trying to push on the scrum, and then I missed the jump, and I just knew I had to sprint to it, and I tried slapping the ball out. I actually thought he had scored. I signalled that I thought he knocked it on, but I thought he had scored, and then luckily Dave Dennis went up and spoke to the ref and asked him to have a look at it, and thankfully he did, and it turns out he knocked it on. So I think I got a little bit lucky there.
That was just a hustle play, a great play, and it shows your professionalism, man. Because 99% of us would give up on that play, and you didn't. So kudos to you. Final question from the locker room: rumors that you played, well, not rumor, fact that you played with your GM, Mr. Fryer. Is that way into your contract negotiations?
Yeah, no, I played a couple games with him at Randwick, which was a really good experience. He's actually still got it, to be honest. I think he's tempted a lot of the time to pull the jersey on. He gets involved in some.
I've been saying it all along. Him and Corbicero will be in your pack before the end of the year.
I wouldn't rule it out. It honestly wouldn't surprise me.
All right, there you have it. America's Rugby News got a breaking story there right here on Rugby Wrap Up. Nathan, thank you for taking the time out. Much appreciated. Best of luck. Except I can't say best of luck next week because we got Conner here. So I got to be fair to both of you. I'll say best of luck to both of you. How's that?
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll come back.
Been blind since I was 4. And I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste. And my beer's Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
All right, we're back with Mr. Conner Mooneyham and Mr. Bryan Ray. And guys, every weekend and every game counts now because of the points and the tightness of the playoff matches. And the first one we have coming up, New England hosting Old Glory, a resurgent Old Glory, Brian.
8 wins in a row. That's a new Major League Rugby record. Let's not forget that. Free Jacks
your team
are flying right now. I'm impressed with what Nate Osborne has done with his team. Hey, they won 2 in a row. Let's not lose sight of that. But New England at home, I just can't look past them. Bowden Walker is just steering that ship like crazy. So I'm going to go with the Free Jacks at home against Old Glory.
Oh, I'm thinking Brian's kind of hopping on the bandwagon a little bit here, but I do have to agree with him. The Free Jacks are really looking like they're in form, and Bowden Walker is leading that ship. As Brian was saying, he is looking unstoppable on attack. I agree with Brian.
Conner, you played in that game, against the Free Jacks. Is there anything, special that you saw in that game? What makes them so good?
Yeah, they game planned very well. They knew that they were going to attack our breakdowns, and they executed their game plan really well. Obviously, we were a bit shocked in the first half. They kind of came out and they punched us in the face. And then second half, we came out and we started showing our skills a little bit. And then a few unfortunate calls by the Sirs just made things sway the other way. So
on the rugby odds, I picked Old Glory to be within 8 points of New England. I thought maybe it might be not a full banana slip. I think Old Glory might make a game of it. It is going to be tough in that environment of Quincy, but the Free Jacks are very formidable. The next one up, Utah at home versus Atlanta, Brian.
I think this is going to be closer maybe than it otherwise, I might have picked, but I'm still going to go with ATL on the road here, but I'm a little squeamish about this pick just because I think Utah definitely has a shot at this one, even though they are on a slide.
Atlanta struggled in that match. LA really took it to them in the first half, and they lost at home, but I don't think they're going to have a bad match 2 weeks in a row. I think they're going to regroup, and I think they're going to smoke Utah. Brian, what do you think in terms of your guys, the Arrows, welcoming in New York
the Arrows were shocking in their last game against Houston, so they better show up a little bit better than that one. New York, to be honest, I wasn't that impressed with how they played against NOLA. I thought they got a little lucky, a couple of calls that went against NOLA in that game, and I think NOLA kind of shot themselves in the foot right at the end there when they got that penalty in there, and I thought they made a bad decision to run it. They're still a formidable outfit, and that's not kid anybody. There might be a new body or two coming into that New York lineup this week. There might be a couple bodies back for the Arrows, fingers crossed, this week. A bunch of New York players tied up with the Eagles camp this week, so that's going to take away from their preparation a little. Toronto's on a bye. They can hopefully, have a big conversation about where they're headed. So, this is do or die for the Arrows. If they lose this, it's over. They're not in the playoffs at all. So I'm going to back my Toronto Arrows to get the win at home. It's a very tough game, but I'm going to pick Toronto on this one.
Stunning.
There it is.
Stunning that he picked Toronto. Stunning, Conner. What do you think? You're pretty much an objective source here. The only one on the show that's objective about this match.
It's funny because we haven't done any film study on either of these two teams because we don't play them this season. And just from the little I've seen of the two teams, I know that they can go either way. It's like they're either going to play really good or they're going to play so-so. But I'm going to have to go with Bryan on this one. I think that Toronto is going to pull it out at home. I know that New York has a lot of firepower, but I think that Toronto, especially in this do or die situation, with their backs up against the wall, I think they have to pull this one out.
I got to go with New York in this one, Bryan. I'm sorry. Very, very sorry. Then we've got that big match, the Western Conference showdown between the Gilitinis and the Gilgronis. Conner, I know that you're part of this one, so Bryan and I will do the heavy lifting, and you're more than welcome to weigh in.
Well, I want to hear from Conner first how confident you guys are before I make any decisions here.
That's crazy. Puts it all on me.
Right back on you, Conner.
The guy who's about to be playing. Obviously, we touched on it a little bit with Nathan, how this is a big rivalry game. It's championship rugby. It's the two top teams in the West. I cannot weigh in on this game personally just because there's too many feelings, and I am a big believer that you can jinx results as well. So I'm not.
You don't want to give them any locker room fodder either.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything about the game. Yeah. I'm just excited.
All right. That's a smart man. That's a very smart man.
If we had been picking this earlier in the year, I definitely would have gone Austin with the form that the LA win, but they've completely turned themselves around and man, they look good, but they kind of fell away a little bit in that second half against ATL on the weekend. Great first half, but not much going on in the second half. They've lost Hanko to suspension. That's a major blow. He's such a powerful ball carrier. I thought Austin had a couple unlucky breaks. They probably could have had a couple extra tries against Seattle. I think they're a little bit better than that scoreline showed in that game. So, man, this is such a tough pick. The winner of this one is pretty much first place in the Western Conference guaranteed. So it's a huge Titanic clash. I'm going to back Conner here. I'm going to go with Austin on the road. I think it's going to be a great game, but I just think that Austin has just a smidgen more, especially, that performance from Isaac Ross at the line at the weekend was just amazing. So if he can disrupt like that against LA, that's going to be a big deal. So I'm going to back Austin in this one.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to do in this one? I think it's going to be a tie.
That is a hot take if I've ever heard one before.
I'm just dropping the mic and walking out of here and watch. Gilitini on Gilgroni. The Gil twins going at each other in the Gilchrist Bowl. Going to be a tie. Very exciting one at that. San Diego hosting Houston. Another tough match. And Conner, this is another one of those Western Conference battles and every point matters. So we'll let Bryan talk about it first.
Yeah, this one's another tough one to pick. San Diego, 2 points ahead of Houston right now. This is another one. Whoever wins this might be in the hot seat for that third playoff spot, right? So, Houston coming off a bye week, they absolutely destroyed my Arrows in Houston. It was a bigger beatdown than that scoreline reflected. San Diego bounced back. They got a big win over Dallas, but they lost a couple players in that game. Thomas Morani looked like he hurt his knee maybe, and Tion Lutz came off at the end. So that's a couple guys maybe they don't have. I'm going to go with San Diego in this one. I don't really know what my justification is. I just have this feeling like they're just a nudge ahead in this one. I just like what I've seen a little bit more. So I'm going to go with San Diego to beat Houston in a squeaker.
just throwing some blind darts. Yep, I'm with you. Houston is a tough team to figure out. They play well, very well at certain times. I'm going to take San Diego in a squeaker at home, and it's just the home field advantage. Then we just talked about Seattle going up to Starfire. It doesn't get any easier for Dallas, Brian.
Well, I mean, the Seattle team that showed up against Austin was not super impressive, you have to say. Putting that massive pack out on the field, and then their line out was just a shambles. I mean, on one hand, you have to credit Isaac Ross and Sebastian Chavez.
How about tipping your cap to the Gilgronis? Fair
enough, but there was some pretty skewed.
Got a guy right here. Know the room. Hey, know the room. He's right here.
Look, they just the line out strategy, I just couldn't figure out in that game. But anyways, Seattle. I'm going to pick Seattle on this one, but I think Dallas can take a little credit. They scored a couple good tries against San Diego. Hopefully they get a couple injured bodies back for them, and they'll make a game of it. But you got to take Seattle at home in this one.
What's in the maple syrup up there? Because you're going to lose by 40 points, Dallas, in this one. 35 minimum. They're on the road at Starfire. Those starved fans up there just want blood. And Rookie
playing against a pissed off Seattle team.
Exactly.
That is going to be hungry for blood. Yeah.
Exactly. And,
that's tough.
Rookie, that Seawolf, he's a dangerous and broccoli guy.
Broccoli guy.
Come on, man. Tony Ridnell, CJ, the whole gang. They're not going to stand for anything but at least a 25 to 35, a 40-point victory. So, unfortunately for Dallas, but again, I go back to look at Mr. Mooneyham. The teams can turn around in a hurry in this league, so don't get too disgruntled and keep supporting your Jackals. Guys, on that note, we got to take a quick break and come back with final thoughts. So stay with us. If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street. Hey, make sure you check out our bonus interview with Peter Malcolm of the San Diego Legion. And we are back with Mr. Conner Mooneyham and Mr. Bryan Ray. Gentlemen, final thoughts. Brian?
We've bagged the TMOs pretty heavily for a couple, 2 or 3 weeks on here. I have to.
By we, you mean you.
Okay, maybe it was just me, but I think Dan was in there too. But I have to give them some credit. This past weekend, it wasn't too bad. One incident in particular I thought was handled perfectly. That was the Dallas-San Diego game. There was a high tackle against Liam Murray, Canadian prop, head contact there. Jack Goal and Mo Chowdhury talked it through, got it down from red card to penalty only, which was the correct call. Perfectly handled, guys. Well done. Looking up. And trade deadline. Apparently there's a trade deadline now coming up May 9th. So guys have new signings. Any trades have got to be made this week. Interested to see what moves we make. Arrows are dishing out international cards like Christmas out there. So I'm keen to see what happens.
We have breaking news. Conner Mooneyham has been traded to New York. No, that's fake news. That's fake breaking news, Conner. I don't want to throw you off your game. What are your final thoughts, if any?
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate you guys having me on the show, even though you knew that the mystery guest was going to be from LA and you knew that we were playing them this weekend. Yeah, I appreciate that. Just throwing me in there. No, I'm just excited. Been saying it before. We're excited to go down to LA and play in the Coliseum and play against our brothers.
And do you have any advice for the number one pick in the NFL draft? As a former number one draft pick in a professional rugby league in the United States of America.
I only root for one team, and I only talk about one team, and that is the Raiders. So if we're talking about NFL, we're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders. So
I'd rather watch the Aeronauts.
The first pick.
Or the Argonauts, whatever the hell they are. The Aeronauts. I'd rather watch the Aeronauts.
Hey, we didn't have a first-round pick this year, so it's okay.
All right. Okay. All right. My final thought on this weekend is just watch rugby. Watch it. Get people to watch it. It's exciting. Have a couple of beers. Go to the games if you can. You got red, white, and blue all over New England this weekend with the Free Jackals or the T-Sippers in the red, white, and blue with the collars. And then you got the other guys that are actually named Old Glory after the flag. And if you didn't know Old Glory was named the flag, you got to do some more homework. But thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Conner Mooneyham. Good luck this
Thank
weekend.
you.
Mr. Bryan Ray, love your backdrops, and thank you for tuning in. Please sign up for our weekly newsletter. Please hit that subscribe button. Please check out the rugby odds and our college rugby wrap-up. And please, please, please sign up for our American Red Cross blood donor team.